Now, if you go to Israel and you go to Mount Carmel, you'll find one of the most thriving churches with Jews and Arabs in all of Israel. And this year we hold a conference, I think it's in June, in Israel. And David Davis is the pastor. And he was one of those actors that came from Broadway, married to a Jewish wife, that heard this message. He had heard a soothing gospel most of his lifetime. He had been told everything is okay. But he came and he was confronted with about his sins and his walk and his double standards. And the Lord got through to that young man. He now pastors that church in Israel. One of the first drug addicts that came to our center in New York 40 years ago, Nicky Cruz was one of the first. But the first heroin addict was Sonny Arguinzoni. And Sonny Arguinzoni came to our chapel and he heard a message so clear about sin. So clear about the wages of sin. So clear, he thought that somebody had told Nicky Cruz was the speaker. He said, somebody told him all about me. And he bowed his head to pray, and Nicky Cruz went down to Sonny Arguinzoni, laid hands on him, and said, you're going to be a preacher. God's saving you today, and you're going to be a preacher. Well, Sonny became a powerful soul winner. And just 4 weeks ago, I was in Los Angeles, California. Sonny Arguinzoni is now the bishop of over 500 churches around the world filled with former drug addicts and alcoholics. There were 16,000 in the congregation. And before I preached, they had a choir. 1,000 voice choir. And you can't belong to this choir unless you had been saved from street walking. 1,000 former prostitutes and drug addicts singing of the grace of God. Folks, all of this happens through sound doctrine. Preaching separation from the world. Confronting people in their sins through broken-hearted sound doctrine.